Today I want to talk about one of my favorite topics that I enjoy, and that is comic book collecting. This I think is my second or maybe third video that I've done on comic books. Just wanted to show you some of my recent acquisitions that I have come upon here, and just tell you about what I'm currently reading, make suggestions. First off, I wanted to bring one that is out that's sort of a blast from the past, and that is the Savage Sword of Conan the Barbarian. Now, for those of you who may be my age or older, you may remember from the 70s and 80s and even early 90s the Marvel Comics magazine-size comic book Savage Sword of Conan, featuring the classic sword-swinging barbarian himself in an oversized magazine comic format that was generally more geared toward mature audiences, which is one of the things I liked about it, because it was, especially back in the 70s and 80s, one of the few quote-unquote mature comic books. That's because I believe technically under some rules it was actually technically considered a magazine and not a comic book, even though it was basically just a comic book, because they showed a little bit more skin and more violence than you would see in your average Marvel or DC title. Here's an example of one of the original format. This is one from my collection. This is number 201, Savage Sword of Conan the Barbarian. As you can see, it's what you would say magazine size compared to a regular comic book size, quite a bit larger, and it was in black and white, but had really excellent artwork, as you can see here, sort of up close. Some of the finest black and white art that you would see around anywhere. Look, there's Conan. Cool. And so now, that was done by Marvel back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And now, Dark Horse Comics is currently the comic person who has the rights to that title. And so what they're doing is they are re-releasing these old Savage Sword issues in a series of trade paperbacks. And here is the latest one. It's a nice thick, this is volume number 3, I've got number 1 and number 2, trade paperback, very thick volume here, and it's basically a reprint of these old comic books, and one of these has about 15 of the old issues in it, so they're probably going to make about 10 or 13 more to do the whole series. I wanted to get it because I've got some gaps in my old collections of ones that I didn't have before, and I figured this would be a good way to just possibly get the whole collection if they continue with good sales and complete the whole collection. And it's in a nice, tight, compact format that takes up not a lot of space. So let me recommend that. Go to your comic book retailer or book retailer, get the Savage Sword of Conan reprints, Dark Horse Comics. They're up to volume 3 now. Retail price, I believe they're running $19.95 so each. So that is my first recommendation. Other things that I recently picked up at the comic book shop on my last visit: Justice League America, one of my favorite titles. I'm pretty much more, as you've, into the DC titles than Marvel. I almost hardly read any DC nowadays. Any Marvel. Almost all I read is DC now. We've got Brave and the Bold, which is another title they've recently started up. They're up to 14 now. This is Dead Man and Green Arrow. Brave and the Bold usually features a team-up of DC Comics characters, and it's of 2 or more Comics character. It was the original team up, brave and bold. So it's a really good series, one of the better ones that I've been enjoying. So pick that up. Here's an interesting one that I just started picking up for my daughter because it's geared toward the younger elementary school and younger audience, and that's the new DC Super Friends title. And they're bringing up, you all remember the cartoon, and it's very kid-oriented, and it's actually a pretty good title for your younger readers. I'm getting it for my oldest daughter. And a couple of things about this issue. This is issue number 4, so they just recently started this title. A couple of things that got me about this issue. First of all, one thing I'm upset about is they did have pasted here on the front, notice this, based on the toy line from Mattel. Okay, these characters are not based on the toy line. They've been characters for like longer than I've been alive. But I guess Mattel and DC, Time Warner, who all owns them, has to make some money trying to sell some action figures to my daughter or other children, which I would probably buy for them anyway. The other neat thing about this particular episode is they came up with an idea, which I'm surprised they haven't come up with in the original one, and that is the Jesters League of America. The Joker and Harley Quinn team up with the Prankster, the Trickster, and Punch and Julie to form the Jesters League of America. That's really a good idea. I thought that was quite funny myself. That would be a good idea for the regular comic book series, but maybe we'll see that later on in the regular continuity titles. Okay, but enough of that. My other press one that I've mentioned before that everybody ought to read, PS 238. It's a independent by Do-Gooder Press. It's about a school, supposedly public school 238, that has elementary school age superheroes. So, and their troubles and adventures, and it's quite humorous, it's quite funny. It's that probably one of those in the category of the best comic you're not reading, and I would highly recommend it. Well, that's all for this on my comics update. Until next time, keep reading those great comic books.